I have a question relating to the last question in the opposite spectrum.
Yes.
I think since I met you, I haven't wanted to have sex.
Yes.
And
I take it as a compliment.
yeah.
Don't just like, not at my expense.
My husband isn't so happy that that this has happened because also there are many other factors. I think I got married 2 months after meeting you. We were together for 5 years before, but after we got married, then the pandemic happened straight away. Then we stayed in the same house, and it was great for spiritual practice. And I'm really enjoying not having sex. I really have a lot of creative energy. I feel everything is creative. I'm really having a great sadhana, I think. But yeah, and I'm wondering, it's just a phase, right? Because yeah, I would like it to return, and because my husband doesn't know too much about what's happening to me, I say, I think it's to do with my practice. I think it's to do with my practice. It's not you, I promise. And I just want to get some reassurance that it's some sort of phase, and maybe in another phase I will be really horny and he'll be very happy, and it's difficult to we want to even try for a baby, but it's difficult when you have no desire.
I understand also from direct experience, because during the years when I was in that, like that, there were different sadhanas, different phases to sadhana, but when the sadhana of the unfoldment and transformation, there was this spontaneous celibacy, which took me by surprise, because also I could be said in my kind of prime as a, like it was in my mid-30s, and it lasted for quite some time. It lasted for more or less 5 years. Not that it has to last that long. And reasons for that are many, and deep down you know these reasons already. You understand that this is due to the sublimation of energy. So in the sublimation of energy, that's what spontaneous celibacy is. Because when energy is sublimated, then the polarities, that male and female in you, right? That masculine and feminine principles are in much greater equilibrium. That's what really celibacy is. The true celibacy is a sublimation of these very, very, very different forms of energy. It's this balance between yin and yang, to such degree where the outer expression is not something one is directed to. But it is a phase, in very rare cases, that I'm saying rare because they are truly rare, when, like in Indian tradition, there's a term, being married to Krishna, and it will not be easy, even in the tradition, where it understood, this understood, and in fact, not only understood, it also has this venerated element to it. Maybe in the family it will be considered as a great disappointment for a husband, right? And the parents, because they want offspring, they want a daughter or son. Well, marriage to Krishna is mostly in relation to women, when they just do not want to have any physical encounters, even when they're married, as they usually are, married from a very early age, and then they go through this unfoldment, and then they don't want to have anything to do with this. See? So, but it's rare. So if that happens to you, the downside is that your husband will not be happy, but the plus side, we will have a saint in the Sangha. So, and he might be impacted in the ways we do not know. I'm just teasing you, and hopefully he will forgive me also. But as a phase, it needs to be respected. You can't force this phase. I mean, force in what way? You can't just start questioning your sexuality, your sensuality, because this is the last thing you want to do. And in fact, there's no reason why you should do that. And that sublimation has profound, in a way, it cannot be compared to anything. So it's actually not something like you presented it as a almost calamity. It's a celebratory phase. Celebratory. I'm not a woman. I've heard that from women. So I cannot say that I'm now speaking from my own experience, but I've heard from quite few women whom I have been privileged to know that only when they went through the menopause that they truly found out who they are. They never had an idea of who they are. It was always overshadowed by something. Overshadowed because they were constantly running, doing something to please others. As a teenager, to please that first boyfriend. As a young woman, to please that husband, that whatever, Constantly. Then children. You constantly live for someone. Within the confinements of these expectations. And then there comes menopause. And that becomes a celebratory moment of finding, finally, I have the rights and the time to find out who I am truly here, is in this body. I'm not talking about finding out that I'm Brahman. I'm talking about just finding out as a person who I am, as a person, as this woman. At least this was related to me. Not just by 1, 2, or 3 people, quite a revealing. So, and of course that was always accompanied by also that celebrated sense of solitary in terms of sensuality.
That's my experience.
Yes.
I was only joking when I was saying that it's a calamity. I'm really enjoying it, and I wouldn't mind if it never came back. But and everything feels sexual in a different way. In a paradoxically, I feel like a very sexual being. Everything's sexual.
Yes.
Flowers are sexual. I walk around and everything seems sexual,
Exactly.
but then it's not. But it's not really.
No.
But that seems like the essence of what it really represents.
But it is. It is. So this is why and it's a gift, it's also a gift. It's like the value of that gift cannot be appreciated. It's like you living the wholeness of not having to project yourself. You're like living wholly as you are. That's the true wholesomeness, wholeness. Everything else that is coming like this, right? Leaning to fulfill. Another person fulfills our needs, our lacks, our this, our that. No, only when we stand like this, completely independent, utterly and entirely self-sufficient, even down to this most dependable act. All relationships are, forgive me, fucked up inside out. Sorry, folks, for breaking it out. Messed up, because it's a continuous arrangement. And it's culturally messed up. So culture secures that it is messed up. It reassures, in fact. Every single thing you look out confirms and reconfirms, and being messed up is a norm. Every film we watch, every story we read, everything is that. You know, this is why I'm kind of like, when I went through this, it was it's like some of my friends who like, you know, it was like, no way. It's simply impossible, you know? Because I had a very different reputation when I was young and, you know, like, so it's like, no way. It's just cannot be. Him? You must be joking. And yet, those who knew me closer were amazed, you know? And I was amazed most of all. Amazed at this. And it was, I would still say, some of the most beautiful, precious years of my life. They are incomparable to anything. One cannot enjoy solitude to that degree unless there is a spontaneous sense of beatitude which rising out of the sublimation of these energies. Of course, something then tilts, and that tiniest little thing that tilts somewhere in that propensity, you see? And it takes you from there. And this, whatever that is, subtlest propensity there, some frequency, some waft of air came and brought that lingering scent from some possibly past conditionings, karmas or what have you, that needs to be re-experienced. And it fans the desire there and then, like this, like a flame, and set everything ablaze. So, when and how it come in its own time, you would live to know. But at this time, in this very moment, you have all the rights and reasons to quietly celebrate this. But of course, it's easy to say that to you because in the marriage is a different story. So in the marriage, of course, the dynamics are, because also it's not easy, because it, you know, then we're entering this whole thing of what, you know, how it begins to play out, how it may trigger a sense of self-worth in another person, right? Because sexuality in men, well, in women, as what I'm saying, sexuality in men is also very much in reaffirmation of how they are. So if they are not needed, as it were, if they're not required to fulfill their role, right, then it kind of like causes a strong dent on the sense of masculine self. That masculinity suffers a blow there. So of course it will take a very, very special person to rise in that again, because you would have to be truly embodying that masculine self when it doesn't get dented, because it doesn't know what rejection is. You see? A true masculinity is a Shiva. Shiva has no second. It never rejected. You know, this is why the greatest books, when they want to test the readiness, the ripeness of someone's realization, they always bring the aspect of, well, when the tests are here, proof of the pudding is being kind of like, you know, like in that story of Kudala, you know, and King Siddhadvaja from the Vashishta Yoga. So to test really the level of her husband's realization, so as to bring him back to rule the kingdom, because he left the kingdom 17 years ago, and she was enlightened before. She comes and then she takes a form of this, you know, and like basically she tests him left, right, and center, including her being with someone. When her psychic powers, she creates that illusion to see how he will respond. You see? So, well, when he actually clearly sees this for what it is, and it has no real lasting impact on him, the guy is ready. See? But this is, again, this is stories, myths, and you know, reality is different. So I wish you all the harmony in your home, and all the understanding and patience to your husband, that he simply shares that, because karmically, destiny-wise, you've joined your paths. You've been together, you said, for 5 years, so this marriage is not just some kind of sudden affair, accident, coincidence, right? It just happened. You were on a way to formalize this relationship. So there is something for him why you're going through that. If he is open to that, then that tremendous field, and again, that's also energy, becomes available to him. So of course, it's an opportunity for tremendous growth as well. If that is denied, rejected, then all sorts of unpleasantries will and can rise, or can and will rise from that. But I wish there was a solution, like in the case of just go to the Ayurvedic doctor, examine your vata, and have some almond milk with ghee. You know,
well, he is wanting to come to an immersion, so maybe.
Yeah, for sure. He's more than welcome. We'd love to have him.
Thank you.